I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is Our Nerdiest Thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we are continuing our discussion of Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. It's book 3 of the Ruinous Love Trilogy, and we're talking about chapters Out of Time through 3 of Swords. Dun, dun, dun.
Is it like the kind of sword I like?
It could be. We'll have to find out.
Does he have 3 of them?
I hope so. In my pants.
Theon is a man of mystery. Who knows?
Yeah, that's why he was hiding out. He has 3 dicks.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
That's the plot twist. Before we go any deeper with that, whoa, see what I did there? Deb, will you please share our nerdiest cocktail?
Of course. Tonight's drink is named Tiny Sparrow.
Aww.
And it's themed after writing letters to heal a relationship. I know this is much more like sweet drink. We normally make it funny. But this drink pairs well with finding the life you need, finding the life you want, and never having to let go of your person.
Aww.
And it may cause you to finally communicate.
Talk.
This one, we talk all the time about how like these combinations are weird. This is gin, sherry, orange juice, and lime juice, which sounds disgusting, but it's like a really tart, light drink.
Yeah,
it does
I like
work
it a lot.
But I will tell you, Mindy and I have a pretty high alcohol tolerance, and we were kind of woozy after one. So just be careful.
It might be because we're both on extra medication.
Cold medicine. Yeah, maybe it's the cold medicine making us woozy. But yeah, drink with care.
It's the citrus makes it feel very summery.
It does.
I like that a lot. Well, now it's time for the nerdy and dirty recap. Mindy, the wheel spoke and said,
Whitney. Didn't you do it last week too?
I did.
Aww.
We get
okay.
a double dose of Whitney.
Yeah.
You know what my teenage daughter would say? It sucks to suck.
Thank you. Well, I've got 30 seconds. I actually have a timer ready. I thought ahead this time. So here we go. Rose is in a coma. Fionn has to leave to go to Croatia, where Sloane's company has an office. Since Lark got Leander to tell her where Fionn was going, Sloane tells him he can mail stuff to Rose through her company. All right. Time jump. Fionn sends Rose letters every week for about 7 months. She reads, she cries, she writes some back. The letters say things. We don't get to see them. Fionn invites her to meet up with him in Maine because he's back. She goes, they talk, they kiss, they read letters, they say things we don't get to see, and they reunite to be a full-on couple. And my time is up, but I have like one more sentence. They road trip, but we don't get to see it. They go to a cabin in the woods to go see the other Kane couples, and then the chapter ends, and we don't get to see it.
How are you feeling about this?
Well, all right.
Okay, so
That's what happened.
Here's the thing. I don't have a problem that we didn't get to see her letters, and here's why. His letters started to feel redundant, and I feel like her letters were going to say the same exact thing. I didn't know who I was. I needed to grow into myself. I needed to be this person. So for me, I didn't need to see the letters.
Yeah.
I like this section of the book. This is going to be a contentious episode.
No, I don't think it's going to be contentious, but those are the things that happen.
I just like using. I just like using big words.
The word, SAT words. Well, before we get into the details, the nitty gritty, Mindy, will you please share our nerdiest vocabulary?
I will. We're going to talk about 2 tarot cards this time because there were a lot of tarot cards in this section.
There were a lot of tarot cards in this section.
So I wanted to start with the Star Tarot card. That was Fionn said was his favorite card. And he sent that one to Rose when he asks her to meet him after he's done with the whole Leander business. So this one symbolizes, and I love this actually, I think it definitely sums up this whole moment. It symbolizes hope, faith, and renewal, and often shows up after a difficult period, ushering forth a period of renewal and healing. It encourages a positive outlook and an optimism, urging that there is always a reason to hope. And it suggests faith in the universe and that things will eventually turn out for the best.
Oh, I like that a lot.
It definitely fits the section.
Definitely fits that vibe. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the 3 of Swords, otherwise known as the name of the final chapter. And this one has negative and positive aspects to it. So, and they're sort of...
Is it like it depends on your situation kind of thing?
Or how it's flipped?
It might be how it's flipped, because I know if it's upside down, but also just I think in relation to whatever the situation is that it's talking about, it could go either way. So the negative aspects are that it can represent a period of intense emotional pain related to a significant loss or the end of a relationship.
Okay, that holds
That
up.
holds up.
Yeah.
It can also signify betrayal and rejection.
Okay.
So, hello, Fionn. Can also suggest a deep period of grief related to a loss or difficult situation. So
That all fits.
Hey,
That
remember
all
that
definitely
time when
fits.
you left Rose in the hospital to wake up on her own?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, good times. So the positive aspects, though, and this is, I think it's really more of like, because all that other stuff happened, this is what you can get out of the silver linings, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Once you get to the other side.
yes. So with pain also comes an opportunity for growth and healing.
True.
Which it does. The intensity of emotional pain can lead to clarity and a deeper understanding of yourself and your relationships.
Well, there you
Okay.
go. All
There
right.
we go. And finally, it can signify a release from old habits and patterns and a willingness to move forward. So, I mean,
That all fits. Yeah.
clearly, Bryn Weaver did her research. That's
Yeah.
definitely where this all was headed.
I saw a thing on Instagram the other day that said, "I would just like to live in some precedented times,"
Oh my gosh.
and that's what
Isn't that
that's what the
truth?
Three of Swords reminds me of.
Yes, absolutely.
That is nothing truer.
But yeah, I thought those all fit pretty well.
They do, yeah. The negative and the positive.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Mindy.
welcome.
We've learned so much through the course of this
It
book.
makes me want to
And
go
we've
have a tarot
remembered all
card
of it.
reading.
Have you ever had a tarot card?
I've
reading?
never had a tarot
I would
card
go
reading.
with you. They're really fun.
I would love to do that.
Very poignant. And I mean, I do think, here's the thing, they're general, right? But I do think that you can also learn something. It can bring clarity.
You can
Absolutely.
find the meaning that like
We
for
should do
yourself,
that with
yeah.
book club.
I
It'd
would
be
love
fun.
to do that. That would be awesome.
Would you go with? Or is that a little witchy for you?
It's a little witchy for me, but
You
know,
could hold my drink.
that sounds good. Well, let's get into the details and start with our favorite moment.
How about you?
Oh, okay. I'll go first. I really, really loved the detail that Fionn got a tattoo of Rose's heartbeat from the EKG machine at the hospital.
That was a good detail.
I'm always a sucker for that kind of like love declaration where the guy is just fully invested in whoever his person is. And I just like that is the energy I wanted from Fionn the entire book.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
and I'm glad I have it at the end of the book. Better late than never, I suppose. But I really enjoyed that a lot. I thought
Do we
that was
know
sweet.
if Fionn has other tattoos? That was one of my questions.
I assume that he doesn't, but I don't know for sure.
I know. I don't picture him with them,
I know I don't either.
Because he's like the straight-laced doctor.
Yes, that's how I
which
picture
actually
him.
makes that a bigger, grander gesture.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He was like, shit, my brother got a whole raven on his back. I should probably do
I know.
something.
I can do a heartbeat.
Hey,
But
can
I
you
thought
put
that
this
was
line
sweet.
on my arm?
I really liked it. I thought that was very
I
sweet.
did too.
I
I
liked
really
that a
liked
lot.
that.
What about you guys?
Go ahead, man.
I actually really loved that Fionn used the tarot cards in his letters to start mending his relationship with Rose, and letting her know how much he loves her by using something that she is very attached to.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really sweet, and I think too I liked the use of letters because clearly he struggles to communicate.
That's a good point.
And so this seemed like a rational way for him to finally be a communicator. But I do remember, like, in the days before cell phones and email and the technology boom, when I was in 5th grade, our class had pen pals.
We did too. I loved it.
I
I
had
loved
pen pal,
it. They
yeah.
were from another elementary school, and we never got to meet them, but I loved the anticipation of
I
getting
got to
a letter.
meet mine.
Oh, that is so
I
cool.
loved it so much.
And mine was a boy. Usually they would try to pair up like girls and boys, but I guess we were like the oddballs. And so it was me and this boy, but I was a tomboy. So it
was
worked.
fine, yeah.
And so I don't know. I just loved that. And it made me think here he's kind of being Rose's pen pal, even though
Yeah.
it's just the one way for now. But, were there famous pen pals? And there were. I just thought this was
Really?
so neat. So these are just a few of them. So first, Catherine the Great. legendary ruler over Russia for 3 decades, and Voltaire, the famous French philosopher, were pen pals. They wrote to each other for 15 years, but they never met in person. And it was rumored that Voltaire was so fond of her that he had her portrait hung in his bedroom.
Oh.
At one point.
Damn.
I don't know.
Well, that would have caused a problem for me if I was Mrs. Voltaire.
He was taken with her, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
But here's the thing. Back then, how often did you get to meet the people you wrote to?
Probably not.
I mean, you couldn't just like hop in the car. You had to saddle the horse and have
well, and then you had to like write to them and say, hey, you want to meet at this point and this
takes
time?
Like 5 months for your letters to go back.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a neat.
That's cool.
Because if you know anything about Catherine the Great, and I know a little just mostly from watching the show,
Great, which is awesome,
which is an amazing show.
Huzzah!
But she's a very intelligent woman. Yeah. And so for her to have this correspondence with a French philosopher just sounds like cool. Right on target.
Was she the one though that liked to have like dicks carved into most of her furniture? Was that her?
Probably.
I'll have to look it up. I think it's her, where like all the furniture legs like were penises, like there were penises sculpted into them and stuff.
All I know is that she's Catherine and she's great. That's all. That's literally all I know about her.
That's
and
funny.
now that she was very intelligent.
You need to watch that show, Whitney, because it is your type of humor. You would love it.
Yeah.
It is really, really
it's
good.
on the list. I had to watch Geostorm before.
I'm tired of things going on the list. You need to do them as soon as we ask.
In all your spare time.
Yeah,
right.
I'll jump right on that.
I love you so much.
So obviously there are a lot of writers, like authors, that would, it seems like it would translate right for them to be pen pals.
Yeah.
So this one I found very intriguing. J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. They bonded over their shared love of mythology, writing, and Christianity, and they often exchanged thoughts in their letters on their writings of the time.
Mm-hmm. Beta readers.
Yeah, they really were. The Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Chronicles of Narnia, because they were such epic, like, they kind of
find the plot holes.
Yeah, like they kind of beta read for each other. I thought that was really cool.
Man, it's a lot easier nowadays to beta read.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, for listeners that don't know what beta reads are, it is before a book gets to the like advanced reader copy, you send it to a group of people to read through and kind of point out like, this isn't working, or this pissed me off, or this
give more description.
The lion maybe shouldn't be Jesus, or stuff like that. Actually, I don't feel that. I feel very neutral about that. just to point it out.
Oh, that's funny.
Don't come at me.
I feel very neutral.
That's great.
Tell us more, maybe.
Cold medicine.
Another set of authors, P.G. Wodehouse, who was the writer who invented the Jeeves Butler character.
Oh.
And Agatha Christie, no explanation needed, were pen pals. She actually dedicated one of her Poirot books. I guess she had like lots of those. She dedicated one to him, and he just decided to write her a letter like randomly one day. So they became fast friends, but it was in the later years of their lives. So they wrote each other until Woodhouse's death at 93 years old. So they were in the twilight years and became friends.
Can I share? This is about C.S. Lewis, but I'm just thinking about it randomly writing a letter. C.S. Lewis randomly got written a letter by a single mom in the States because her little kid, he was like 7 or 8, was a big fan of the Chronicles of Narnia. And they started writing back and forth, and she ended up traveling to England, and they ended up getting married like late.
They got married?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Gosh, that's so cool.
There's a movie.
That's like the only way you could like get to know someone.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called, but there's a movie about it, and it's kind of heavy. It would make you cry. I think Anthony Hopkins is C.S. Lewis in the movie, and Deborah Winger. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a movie about it. So anyway, just thinking about writing letters and stuff.
More couples, as part of their premarital counseling, should have to write a letter to each other.
I love that idea.
I mean, my husband can write, for the record. It's a big part of his career, actually. But if I was dating someone I was thinking about marrying and they couldn't write, I'd be like, because you had time to work on this too. This isn't just a conversation. You could use a thesaurus. You could structure your sentences. You could have someone beta read your letter to me.
You can make an outline.
You could be like Joey and, what's he say?
Baby kangaroo.
4-chambered pumping aortic valve or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a good little litmus test for
I
marriage.
agree. I love that idea.
Before you go on, I also wanted to say PG Woodhouse sounds like it has to be a porno name, right?
Oh, dear God.
PG Woodhouse?
I
Come
don't
on.
think it is.
I'm sure
but
it's
it
not.
definitely does sound like
but
that.
it sounds...
B.I.G. Woodhouse.
Sorry, Mindy. Go ahead.
The Woodhouse that I would want would not be PG. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So, so I just have one more because this one just it came out of nowhere and just shocked me and is just hilarious. So,
Is it Helen Keller?
no,
That's what I thought you were going to say.
it's
Why? Why out of everyone in the world, you're like Helen Keller, right?
you're gonna really die when I tell you.
We'll take it out.
No, I really want to know why.
You're gonna die when I tell you who it actually is.
Okay.
Tony Danza
They're the same.
and Tupac Shakur.
Really?
What?
I love that.
Yeah,
You took
so-
the whitest guy and had
Yeah.
him right to Tupac.
So
I mean-
obviously this is an unlikely pair, but Tony and Tupac, which sounds like
It's like the Odd Couple.
yeah.
Tony and Tupac.
Tony and
No,
Tupac.
all I'm thinking is Charles in charge of your days and your lives.
Okay, so Tony and Tupac,
Anyway.
they corresponded in the mid-90s while Tupac was in jail. And apparently Tony Danza had something to say about Tupac's responsibility as a role model and the influence he had on his fans. Now,
Like like negative, you should do better kind of thing.
I think it
I'm
was just-
assuming so.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was trying to be nice,
Helpful.
yeah.
Like
I
a
think.
wise old mentor
But now,
or something.
if it was me, I would have been like, "Fuck you, Tony Danza! You don't
what do
virtue
you know,
signal
Charles?"
me." Like, yeah, like come
It's
on.
who's the boss?
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, who's in
It's
Charles
Scott-
and
oh,
Charles?
Scott
Scott
Baio.
Baio. Potato Babayo. They both had like feathered black hair.
Yes, they
What do you
did.
expect
That's true.
from me?
100%.
This is true.
And they both had a like that weird like Rocky Balboa accent. Like,
Angela.
I'm Charles, okay?
He wasn't Charles.
I was talking about the other one.
Yeah.
Scott Baio.
yes.
Charles, okay. Sorry. The wheels have come off.
Yes. I don't think they're going to get put back on. But anyway, Tupac was much nicer than me, and he thanked Danza for understanding him.
Oh.
They did actually get to meet once, too, at a movie premiere.
Oh, that's
Well,
fun.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, can we
Okay.
go back? Did you know, did Helen Keller have a pen pal we need to know
No,
about?
she was just like, I was getting vibes of like, you'll never guess this one. And I thought, who would I never think would have a pen pal? And it was Helen Keller.
No.
We can edit that out
No,
though. Because
no.
it sounds like I'm making a like mean joke, which I
No,
don't
it doesn't.
mean, but
No, I was more shocked by Tony Danza, I gotta say.
And Tupac.
and
Right.
Tupac. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Oh, well, thank you so much, Mindy. Thank
I
you for
love
that.
that. Thank you.
That gave us a lot of
I
laughs.
talk more about the letters later because I think that's a really special part of the book.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you share your favorite moment?
I didn't.
Okay, go ahead then.
I love when Rose dissolves all the rules of the friends with benefits and essentially demands what she wants. So I'm going to
Yeah,
quote,
yeah.
and this is like in order, but I'm not going to say all the stuff in between. Here's what she says. I like cuddling. I like PDA, you know, holding hands and shit. Dorothy has one bed. I'm not folding out the sleeper sofa. It's a pain in the ass. You can't keep telling Barbara she has rabies. She doesn't like that. Danny and Renegade totally deserve to win surviving love. And then finally she says, I like that time we kissed. I'm
Yeah.
dissolving that rule too.
Yeah,
so
I like
she
that.
literally was like, sure, I'm in, but this is what I'm requiring.
all in.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is how it's going to be. And if you don't like it, then I'll get back on my motorcycle and
Right.
leave. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know, holding hands and shit. I love that.
Yeah, and that was good for her. It was like finally communicating. We
Right.
love to see it. Well, that brings us to our least favorite moments. I wonder if these will be kind of the same thing or not.
I don't think mine
know.
is.
I don't know if
Go
mine
ahead,
is or
Whitney.
not.
Well, mine is the time jumps. generally speaking. I wrote, seriously? We skip over quite a bit. We skip over Rose waking up in the hospital to find that Fionn is gone. We completely skip
I would have
that.
loved to have known what her reaction was.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. We skip over her entire recovery. We skip her leaving Boston to go back to the circus. We skip Fionn's entire contract with Leander in Croatia.
That was the one that bothered me the most because it's such a big plot point.
Yeah.
I want to know how he struggled. Like, because we know what he had to do, right? Like, we get the gist of what he had to do.
Right.
But, you know, who were his friends there? Who were his enemies there? Like, what was the craziest shit he had to do? Like, he could have even just told Rose in dialogue when he got back. Like, that would have been a good way to share that story. But we got none of it, which is so weird.
We also skipped over, weirdly, Fionn getting back to the States and setting up this potential reunion with Rose. Like, all of a sudden, he's just there in Maine, which I thought was kind of odd.
You know what else was skipped? The contract was supposed to be 7 months, and he comes back in 9. So, why?
I noticed that too. Yeah. Good question. And I wrote too, we we kind of gloss over the entire 9 months of them not seeing each other.
Right.
Why are we skipping all of these things? And when I like think about it all together, they all make me upset because I'm like, this is a lot in just this section. And that's not even to say the stuff that we missed with the time jumps like earlier in the book.
It is rare that I say this, but everyone I've talked to about this book, I've said this book needed to be 200 pages longer.
Or yeah, for sure. But like, it felt super rushed too.
It did in some ways. Yeah.
You mean in general or this section?
This section in particular, but like in different parts. Like, it was like, we're going to stretch this part out and then skip over everything. It's weird. It was like they gave up things to stretch out things that didn't need to be stretched out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And you know, like, I'm trying to look at it from a point of view of like, okay, you're an author, but then you have like an editor and then you have like a publisher, right?
Yeah.
And readers that are demanding certain things.
But having said that, if your other two books are so big on intertwining the timelines and having like everyone's point of view, I was really expecting that in this book.
100%.
Yeah. I was really looking forward. I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes to see Rose's point of view that we've already seen Sloane's, we've already seen Rowan's, we've already seen Lark's, right?
Right.
I want to know what Rose and Fionn were doing at that time. And we unfortunately have missed some of those things.
Yeah. We missed a lot of those things. And that was what bothered me is like all in this section, particularly, why do we not see her wake up without him there?
Right. I would have loved to have seen Sloane and Lark taking care of her.
Yes,
right.
Well, especially because, you know, when they do meet back up and start talking again, it's such a big sticking point for her how much he hurt her. And I feel like her waking up in the hospital, finding out that he is just gone, would be a huge part of that, you know?
Well, and Rose isn't the kind of person to him just be like, I can't tell you what I did. And her to be like, all right.
Okay. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I mean, because he still could have told her more than he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he didn't.
Right.
And he didn't tell us.
I mean, at this point, Sloane knows more than
than
Lark
Rose and
does.
Sloane definitely do.
Yeah.
No more. Yeah.
I also love that.
But nobody knows that.
Right.
Which is weird.
I love that Lark gets information out of Leander because he knows she'll keep poisoning him, which is hilarious.
Which is funny too, because I feel like he really enjoys it when he gets drugged.
I think,
you know what I mean?
I think that it makes her his equal, that she keeps taking him by surprise because not very many people can do that, and he loves that.
He does enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
What were your all's least favorite moments?
Let's talk about Leander a little bit more. Kind of, but really Fionn. So
number one, how dare you?
they skip over that whole thing, like you said, and then somehow Fionn throws in that he actually might want to go back and work for Leander. That just to me came out of left field. What the fuck? He knows how trapped Lachlan was and how it would end up being. Why in the hell would he want to do that? It makes zero sense to me that he would, after his brothers finally got out from under his thumb, would be like, okay, well, I'll just work for you then.
Here's why it makes sense to me, but it just wasn't fleshed out right. So this whole time, Fion's supposed to be like the darkest one, but we're told that and we're never shown that.
Right.
So I feel like this was Bryn Weaver's way of being like, look, he really is dark. He wants to continue doing this work. Like, there's a part of me that thinks he enjoyed Croatia, right? But we don't know enough about, right.
Exactly.
We don't know anything about really what Fion has done anytime,
right,
or in Croatia, for us to find that believable.
Yeah, it just really came out of left field for me, and it really pissed me out. Like, this was like a throw the book moment. Like, it ruined this section for me.
Well, especially because the last time we see Fion and Leander, it's the, like, I make him a hot dog. Like, total villain, total control.
Yeah, because he'll kill me if I don't make him a hot dog.
Exactly, yeah. And so if you're not going to show us any of their time together in this contract, then it doesn't make sense to have this flip.
It is a throwaway line. Like, I wonder if at one point that was in there.
Maybe, I don't know.
And then it just didn't get caught. That line didn't get caught because it is a very small section. Like, he kind of throws away. He's like, well, maybe I'll even go back and
like
work
maybe
for Leander.
they took a scene out but missed that line connecting to the missing scene.
I mean, I can see that. I can see that being something, but I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so like fixated on that, but it just pissed me off so much that it ruined everything else.
This
for me.
is one of those instances, and we've talked about this several times on the podcast. We talked about it with Emily Rath when we interviewed her about rushing authors to get their next book out, because Butcher and Blackbird came out, and then Leather and Lark, it took a full year for that to come out, and then this one came out, 6 months
I want to say
later?
6 months later.
Yeah, it was not a year, that's for sure.
Right. I feel like this was rushed. That if more time had been able... Because, I mean, here's the thing. I get it. She's getting pushed from the publisher. She's getting pushed from the writers. Yeah. All these people going, what's next? What's next? We want Rose and Fion's story. And the publisher wants to make money, right?
Right.
And so... And I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating here. And so you can feel that in this book.
I would agree with that, yeah.
There are some things that I feel like she would have went back and wrote differently. I really do.
I agree.
Just isn't the same caliber as the first two
books. It doesn't feel like the other two books at all, and it doesn't. And like seeing her on social media too, it doesn't feel like her vibe even. Like, there are parts of it that do, but they're not woven together like I feel like they should have been. And I don't know. It just seems like a very, very different book, and not in a way. I don't know how to explain myself.
What I said, and I don't mean anything bad about this to Bryn.
No, me either. I love her.
Bryn Weaver. Yeah. This feels like a outline to me. Like, here are the points I want to hit in this book, especially the second half of this book.
I would agree with that.
Here are the points I want to hit. And then the publisher was like, we got to get it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have a due date. I feel, and again, I'm speculating, but I feel like she wrote and wrote and wrote, and then like she never had time to go back and connect things the way that she
flesh it out.
Because that's what she's really talented at,
exactly,
is connecting all these dots, right? And so, Croatia lowered the star rating for this for me, and
like just the fact that we don't get to see it,
right? And the fact that we don't get to see Rose wake up and all of that. So, I mean, it did. It was in. I even, because I know how Bryn writes, thought, we're going to get it in the epilogue. And spoiler alert, we don't.
We don't.
Yeah.
So, and then the trilogy's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like no chance of us getting this. I mean, maybe she'll write a novella someday.
I was just about to say, maybe she'll do some bonus content or something.
Having said all this, I already pre-ordered her next book. I still love her.
I know.
Right?
I want to read the next book.
Right.
I still cried at the end of this book.
Right.
I mean, in this section when they
they were writing letters,
not the writing letters. I didn't love that, but when they are together talking and they're like, "Yes, we're going to be together." I totally cried during that part. So it's still good.
Yes,
it's still a good story. It's still good writing, but skipping over some of this stuff, I just am like, what?
It's just not how she writes.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
What are you doing? Yeah, shocking is a good descriptor. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about other things that aren't believable, because I had a least favorite moment too, and it was Rose just manifesting that she can ride a motorcycle in a steel globe. Did you guys catch that, where she says, well, I really wanted to do it, and so I just thought about it, and then one day got on my motorcycle.
I did
and rode
not
in the
catch
globe.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, we get that as a flashback, but we don't get anything else.
Right. So this really bugged me because not only do you need to be able to ride a motorcycle,
Well, yeah.
and don't forget she was 16.
Yeah.
You also need to be able to understand speed and physics, right?
Yeah.
You can't just hope for the best when you do this
Right.
stunt.
It's not just like
It
a
is
trick. Yeah.
extremely dangerous. Plus, I highly doubt that Jose, who's the leader of the circus, would be cool with letting someone just try this out.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
He says he loves her.
Yeah.
Loves her like a daughter.
And for me, you don't let someone you love as a daughter just get in a metal cage and be like, because it says, like, the first time I did it, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it all the way around. Like, you would think Jose would be like, okay, we're not going to do that.
Right.
You need to be trained. And so that really, really bugged me. So, according to dangerglobe.com,
Danger.
I
Globe.
know. Riding in the globe of death requires extreme skill and focus. AKA, this is not something you can just be like, I'm going to do it.
As
right?
a 16-year-old.
Right. The most important skills that must be learned to achieve this stunt is to control the speed of the motorcycle, maneuver in a small space, take tight turns, and you need to learn how to high-speed drift. And honestly, the only thing I know about drifting is from Fast and
I
Furious.
was just thinking that exact same thing.
And that means I know nothing.
Nothing,
Because
yeah.
I still don't know what that means. So all Globe of Death riders have to go through extensive training before completing this show in front of an audience. So some riders can jump from one motorcycle to another. They can stand on the handlebars. They can ride in reverse. They can do all these crazy things, but you have to train.
Right.
So here's some fun facts about the Globe of Death. The Globe of Death began as people doing stunts inside wooden barrels. And so they were like, you know
Oh.
what? Let's turn this into a metal globe. In 2011, a Guinness World Record was set for the most people riding in a globe with 6 motorcycles and 1 person in the middle of the globe.
Oh,
Sounds
why?
highly dangerous.
Yeah, just why?
Right. The Garcia family thrill riders, say that 15 times fast, designed and built the very first horizontal triple splitting globe of death in 2006.
How is a globe horizontal?
Okay, so they're going sideways instead of up and
Gotcha,
down.
gotcha.
They
Right?
are horizontal.
Okay,
I
so
gotcha.
this globe lifts off the ground and splits into 3 sections while the riders race their motorcycles in the centerpiece, which means there's a 4-foot gap above them and a 4-foot gap underneath them.
Oh.
During this stunt, the entire sphere lifts over 23 feet high in the air. Like, can you imagine?
That's some Las Vegas shit right
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Yes.
And I love all the names of these people. So that was the Garcia family thrill riders. In 2004, Crazy Wilson Dominguez,
There goes Crazy Wilson.
he was with the Ringling Brothers, and he was the first person to split the globe of death apart at the top, which I don't know what his ride looked like.
Yeah.
The youngest person to ever ride the globe of death was Maximus Garcia, who was 4 years old when he rode in it. The largest outdoor globe of death was constructed in 2015 and was almost 40 feet tall. 12 consecutive loops were driven in this globe in a 2,000-pound car.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Because you think of motorcycles are light, right? They can
Yeah.
make it over. So, and finally, if riding with all your buddies inside a metal sphere isn't enough, you can do what Johnny Strange did in 2014 and become the first person to swallow a sword while riding inside the globe of death.
Oh my God.
No, I'm good.
But seriously, have you guys ever seen this done?
Not while doing the Globe of
There
Death.
was 2, not the sword swallowing, the globe of death, but there was a circus in town 2 birthdays ago for me, and we went. We thought it was going to be kind of corny, and it was actually super awesome. But they did the globe of death at the very end. But the guy actually got on top of the globe, and it was like on this contraption that would spin it, and he would run on the top of the globe and jump over the contraption that was like spinning it and land back down in the bottom, climb back to the top, and every time that contraption came through, he would jump back to the bottom again, climb to.
my
I mean,
gosh.
it was so
Wow.
scary, but it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. And so again, I just want to point out, you cannot manifest
No.
fucking knowing how to do this. This drove me crazy.
That's funny because I totally missed that. But
Yeah.
she just like, I'm going to do this.
Right. I'm going to do it.
I missed that completely.
And don't get me wrong. You guys know this about me. I am the kind of person that when I want to do something, I will sit down and learn it, and it will kind of become my obsession.
Yeah.
But they make it sound like she's just like, that looks easy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to really be trained
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
not die.
Right. It's
'Cause
not
here's the
a safe
thing.
thing.
If you get to the top and your motorcycle falls on you, you are dying.
Right.
Or at least getting severely injured.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's just, don't even, I don't know what else to say. I'm so mad about this.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us your biggest revelation?
Okay. Mine was,
Let's get you off the globe of death.
mine was Lucy Cranwell being alive and thriving.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see Happily Ever After
Yeah.
for her. It
Yeah, she
rounded
deserves it.
out the Sparrow for me.
Yeah, that's true.
That
It
is
was a
true.
nice full
Yeah.
circle
Yeah.
moment.
Well,
It's
and
good.
you got to think too, the VR or whatever that went awry.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to feel good for Rose to see somebody that she helped, make a beautiful life for themselves.
Yes,
Right,
that she
right.
truly helped.
Yes.
Again, I keep forgetting about the VR thing because I was like, what virtual reality went off the rails?
We missed that scene.
Yeah. No, but I loved it. And, she's just like, thanks for murdering my husband.
Oh, well, see you later.
Well, see ya. I mean, I'm assuming Lucy has no idea what happened to
I
her
was
husband.
just about to say that.
Because he got in the
he
truck
just
and
left.
drove.
Yeah,
Right.
he just left. So it's
and
a
then
mystery.
just never came back.
Yeah, I guess.
And then I love that Lucy was like, well, I've got the Sparrow to thank for that. Like, she never even thought it was anyone else, which I
Yeah.
think is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good.
I
That was a
do
good
love that.
revelation. Mindy, what was yours?
That Fionn still gets on my nerves. I really thought that I was gonna
Yeah.
be endeared to him, and
I did like him more this read. I'm not going to lie.
I did too.
I don't know that I did. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah,
I still don't feel like I know who Fionn is.
I would agree with that too.
I don't know. He does sweet things, and he definitely had some growth.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, he just still pisses me off.
In his
I don't-
pants.
I don't know. I never felt connected to him as a character, and it really irritates me. And so I guess, when you read through something the first time, you're wanting to get, you just want to get the
You're reading for
story.
the plot,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I thought, surely I'll get more attached this time. Nope.
I do think breaking up the chapters like we do when we do prep for the podcast helped me like this book more, because as you're reading through, the time jumps are glaring when you're reading fast. And this time, because it's been broken up, I'm like, oh, that's all right. It didn't bother me as much.
It still bothered me. I don't think it bothered me more this
Yeah.
time around, but it still bothered me for sure. The time jumps. But
What was your revelation, Whit?
mine was just figuring out the timing of Rose's POV chapter when she's getting all of these letters. I was trying really hard to figure out where are we, when are we, what is
Yeah.
this time progression basically with all the time jumps.
Well, and thank God Sloane's company had an office in Croatia.
And yeah,
You know what it reminds me
it
of?
was
Is
such a
on-
weird detail.
Whenever on Wayne's World, when Chris Farley's like, well, thank God you were here to get all this information. It felt very much like that.
Very much so. I felt like Bryn Weaver was just breadcrumbing us through the chapter of here's how long it's been. But I felt confused as opposed to oh, it's been another week or a month or,
Yeah.
I didn't love that. It didn't feel like a steady flow of time. It just felt confusing to me. But I did figure out Fionn was writing letters to her for about 7 months, which I think is from January through July. And Rose does
Figure this shit out. Christ.
because I went back and looked at all the. I made a lot of notes and it was real
Because
confusing.
you a nerd.
Exactly. That should be my nerdiest thing of the week. Rose does explicitly say when they see each other again, it has been 9 months since he left her in the hospital.
Right.
So that gives us about a 2-ish month time frame for Rose to recover before she's back at the circus getting the first letter. Which
Okay.
I feel like that makes sense for a recovery time frame. I also figured out I was wrong last week when I said, I know, can you believe it? Last week I said that at the end of Leather and Lark, when Lark and Lachlan are at Leander's, that I thought maybe the whole contract time had finished. That is not accurate. So I think based on what we learn here in this section of Scythe and Sparrow, that meeting with Leander happened within that 2 months recovery time for Rose.
Okay.
Fionn had basically just left, and Christmas is the end of that 2 month recovery time period.
Right.
And January is when she starts to get the letters.
Okay.
So when Lark asks Lachlan if he thinks Fionn would be at Christmas, she knows full well he will not be at Christmas.
Yeah.
Because she knows that he is under this contract with Leander, which I found to be weird because it just seemed like an unnecessary question for her to ask if she knew the answer already. You know what I mean?
Again, was there something that Bryn Weaver was going to put in there?
Right. I don't know. So I just...
Or was it a red herring to keep him
Maybe.
off?
I don't know. But after Scythe and Sparrow, we know that Lark knows where Fionn is and what he's doing.
That's what I'm saying.
So
like, maybe
it's
she
just-
says that to keep Lachlan from asking her questions about
I
Fionn.
guess, but I don't know why Lachlan would ask Lark questions about Fionn at all. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
But it's just, I thought that was kind of weird. So he's in Croatia unless that scene happened a full year after he left for Croatia. If it was the following Christmas after he's already back, after he's already reunited with Rose, but there's no way
Of
For us
to
to
know
know.
that.
Yeah.
So it's either just a couple months after he left or a few months after he came back.
14 months. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to my deep dive because we see nothing about all this time in Croatia. And so I decided to do a deep dive on Croatia.
I'm really glad you did too, because I actually don't know very much about this. Is it a country?
It is a country.
Okay.
What I was picturing in my head, not even remotely close
Is it
at all.
tropical?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay, because that's what I'm picturing in my head.
I was picturing like third world desert wilderness kind of thing.
Oh.
Incorrect.
I always picture like Greece.
Well, you would be correct.
Oh.
Tropical and Greece is pretty much what it is. So I did a little deep dive about Croatia because clearly I'm completely ignorant about it. So here we go. So Croatia is a country in the Balkans on the coast of the Adriatic Sea, which is central southeast Europe. It's neighbors with Slovenia, which is where Melania Trump is from. I was like, hey, I know this word. I've heard of this at least. It also borders Hungary, Serbia, Montenegro, and shares a maritime border with Italy, which means they split the ocean to mark their borders, basically. So it's in that whole like Greece, Italy area. So fun, nerdy crossover. Modern day Croatia was part of Roman Illyria in the 6th century. So modern Croatians could be descendants from Illyrians. I wrote, take that, SJM. So Croatia is part of the European Union. It is a developed country, so the opposite of what I was picturing. It has a very robust economy, and a huge portion of that economy is tourism. So about 70% of their workforce is in the service industry. The country also has a long history of war and fighting for independence in the 1990s because they are surrounded by several other countries. There are a lot of different cultural influences on their language, their art, cuisine, everything that makes their society unique, right? It's a big, truly melting pot. It's a beautiful place with a lot of beautiful things to experience. So then I thought, why Croatia for this book, right? Like, why make that the location?
Yeah.
So I started to look up, I was Googling basically like Croatia and crime, like that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, Croatia has a major problem with corruption. It's listed as one of the top 5 most corrupted states in the European Union.
Like in terms of like the government?
Yes.
Okay.
So in order to join the EU, the Croatian government had to commit to take action to get rid of the corruption in their systems and in their culture. And then they had to prove that they were actually taking steps to truly do it, right? But I mean, we're talking about years and years of the way these systems work, and it doesn't just happen in a snap of
So
your
are
fingers,
they a
right?
part of the EU?
They are a part of the
Okay.
EU. So they didn't have to completely get rid of it. They had to show that they were working on it, basically. So these efforts are facing the large obstacle of an inefficient and corrupt judicial system. And this organization that works in the UK and this works with corruption, I guess. I was really confused about what it was, but they have prosecuted 2,000 individuals and achieved a 95% conviction rate as of 2012.
Wow.
But convictions rarely result in an actual prison sentence.
Oh,
So what
it's
happens
like,
after you get convicted?
I
It's
don't
just
know.
like, well, like my daughter says again, sucks to suck.
Sucks to suck.
you
Yeah, I don't-
become president
I know.
of the
Well,
United States.
one of these convicted corrupt people was the former prime minister of Croatia. So I mean, we're talking like the highest level,
Wow.
the highest level of government. In 2002, accepting bribes was a common form of corruption in the street police in Croatia. According to the International Victim Crimes Survey, 15 out of 100 people that they surveyed reported paying a bribe within the last year.
Wow.
And 44% of those bribes were paid to police officers. So this frequency is higher than most other East European countries, and with the respondents suggesting that police in Croatia were targeted more frequently for successful bribes compared to other countries. So more cops are taking the bribes.
I say this jokingly, but I'm in the wrong line of business. I could be making all the cash.
I know.
Yeah. These results indicated that police corruption, especially in regards to the acceptance of a bribe by a police officer, seemed to be more prevalent among Croatian police than police in other Eastern European countries.
Wow.
Interesting.
So it's not just the government; it's also like random police officers on the street. You know,
Leander would easily be able to bribe his way through
100%.
committing crime here.
100%. And in general, Croatia is a relatively safe country, especially if you're talking about the tourists that are going to visit there. It is very low crime rates for especially violent crimes. However, it is a hub for human trafficking. So while tourists might be safe, marginalized communities and individuals, especially the poor, are at risk for trafficking. There are also some indications of maybe arms trading, drug trafficking, and even a black market for timber, wildlife, and natural gas and oil, which I found to be super random.
You don't have to have a black market for that.
Apparently, you get to have a black market for that.
But wouldn't it be easier to not have to do all that? Just sell your timber.
I guess. So that kind of organized crime seems like exactly where Leander would want to go. Right? When we're talking about arms trafficking, drug trafficking, even a black market for like oil or like timber, that feels like Leander to me too. So Croatia is this really beautiful place that can be very luxurious, but also easy to get done these illegal schemes. You know, like it feels like a very Leander place. Like he would want to go vacation there and like stay on his yacht out in the Adriatic Sea, but also like pay off all the police to, you know.
I want to know, because I'm kind of turned on by you right now. Did you know the Adriatic Sea was there? Or is that something you learned in your research?
That's something I learned in my research. I was like, I know that word, but I didn't know where it was. So anyway, you know, it sounds like it would have been a cool
vacation spot.
A cool stage for some scenes to read about. You know what I mean? Like there could have been a lot of cool stuff in that setting, but it at least makes sense for a place that Leander would go or be hired to come do some illegal stuff. So
interesting. Thank you for that, Whit.
You're so welcome. Let's talk about our favorite spicy scene.
I'll go first because mine's not really spicy. It's more of the scene that like made me feel the most like love.
Yeah.
So
best emotional scene.
Yeah. I really loved the words, "I'm not letting you go. I never will." Even though I have some issues with the ending of this book, mainly that we get no info about what went on in Croatia, I really enjoyed the letter writing as a form of healing between Fionn and Rose. And Mindy, you had already said this. We already know they both suck at communication. So having the barrier of the letters that they write to each other, like daily, which I think is really cool, it's a really sweet coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of a sucker for like the letter writing micro trope. I'm thinking like Red, White, and Royal Blue.
It's very romantic.
It is. Yeah. And it takes intellect and deep thought to convey what you're feeling. It's very, very romantic.
I'm liking it more since you said earlier, Mindy, about how Fionn is so bad at communicating, because I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it. I was thinking about it more just the way that Bryn Weaver set up this plot. Of course, writing a letter is the only way he's going to be able to communicate with Rose. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't think about it in terms of like he is better able to communicate with her because he can think about it, he can draft, he can edit, he can rewrite stuff, and I appreciate that more thinking about it.
But here's
like
the thing, she's not a great communicator either. I love that then every day she responds and then they read their letters to each other. I think that's really, really special.
I like it better now that we're talking about it than I did when I read it.
I definitely loved that letter writing section. That stood out to me as being something that I really did enjoy.
Yeah. What was your favorite spicy scene?
What fucking spice?
That's why I wrote about what moved me the most.
That literally is what is in my notes. I said zilch, zero, nada, disappointing. Like even like when they came back,
She could have at least like sat on his face.
something like we get and then we
I thought that
was-
was going to happen because that maybe it's the epilogues that I'm thinking of, but that happens at the end of Butcher and Blackbird, and I think at Butcher and Blackbird. I know for sure
Leather and Lark,
the
he gets
epilogue.
pegged.
Yeah, we get that sex scene in the epilogue of Leather and Lark. So I was
Still,
expecting
though,
that.
I don't know. I just felt like it was very, again, vanilla. Like everything, it just, there wasn't anything special or particularly Rose and Fionn-esque about it at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's fair. Yeah, I don't have a spicy scene, but I will say I did really enjoy their kiss when Rose basically like gives Fionn permission to kiss her and like, yes, I want to be with you. I thought that was sweet, and it did make me cry. That's the part where I cried. And I thought it was emotional. It was descriptive. I really liked that scene. There are these little moments like that where I'm like, yes, that's what I've been looking for the whole book, and I wish that there was more of that.
Yeah.
Impact for me, but I did cry, so it's got to be a good story. What about chapter MVP?
What's yours, Mindy?
Mine was Rose. It takes a really brave person to take that leap and try again with Fionn after the shit he pulled.
That's true. Yeah,
I think she really did take a leap of faith with that.
Because he's been gone a long time.
I do think with the letters and everything, he proved that he was, invested.
Yeah.
Well, and he was consistent with the letters.
Exactly.
True, yeah.
Like it wasn't just, and it was very intense and targeted. And like I feel like he definitely proved himself.
He put a
with
lot of
that.
effort and thought into it.
But he still pulled a lot of shit. And so, it's really brave to sort of say, you know what, you fucked up, but I'm going to trust that we're going to be better moving forward.
And I really liked, too, the choice for Brynn Weaver to have Rose say, like, you really hurt me.
Yeah.
And to not just be like, you're here, you're back.
Yay,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
She didn't like run into his arms and kiss him.
Yes.
She held back. And
That was
Well,
more real.
And one of my questions was what did she do for 3 days after like she knew he was there?
yeah, we didn't get that either, did we?
Right. And so like was she stewing on it? Did she go somewhere else? Did she travel with the circus and then turn back around? Like
because she waits until the last minute of what he told her, I'll be here until then, until this time, right? Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. Well, speaking of Rose, my chapter MVP was the tarot cards.
Oh, cool.
The storytelling in this part of the book was really compelling for me. And as part of the letter writing, Brynn Weaver uses this as a show, not tell part.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we learned so much about their relationship by reading what the tarot cards mean. And I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I did love that.
Yeah, she did a good job with that. It felt very organic every time the tarot cards were brought into the story, as opposed to feeling like a weird like parlor trick kind of thing,
Or like a
what are we
weird
doing
plot
here?
device that just
Yes.
it wasn't like obvious. It
didn't feel
felt
forced.
seamless with it.
Well,
yeah.
and I think it does make me feel for Fionn a little bit more because he did go buy a tarot deck. He did research what each card meant.
True.
He did relate it back to what he wanted to say to
Right.
her. And
Yeah.
I think I really like that.
Which
Yeah.
again was going back to what you were saying, Mindy. Like he was very intentional. He put
Yes.
a lot of effort into this and showed like
Right.
I'm in with
invested,
this.
yeah.
My chapter MVP is also not an actual character. I said Sloane's secret postal service. So this is the only reason that we get to see any of Fionn's inner thoughts while he's in Croatia, and really any of Rose's inner thoughts as well. But we're still missing out on a lot. But I appreciate the effort that the Sloane Postal Service did for us as the reader.
Sloane was my favorite secondary character
Oh, yeah?
for that same reason, that she had a way for him to keep in touch, even if it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that part of it felt more contrived to me than
Yes,
the tarot
absolutely.
cards felt way more organic,
Absolutely.
Right, right. Because we've never heard about Sloane having an international office anywhere.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, good for you, girl, I guess.
So murderous people. My favorite secondary character was Barbara. Right.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but Barbara's my spirit animal. She doesn't take shit from men. She eats copious amounts of churro batter, and she likes hanging out with strong women.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a Barbara.
Be a Barbara.
It's too bad that the sexual butler doesn't like raccoons.
For the record, the sexual butler is scared of raccoons, which I find hilarious.
Well, my favorite secondary character, again, not actually a character, Bryn Weaver, for making me emotional with the reunion scene. And I wrote in my notes, I have had my criticisms of this book, but that whole scene, again, made me cry with the angst and the hurt, the vulnerability. I really liked that. And even with the criticisms that we have of this book, it's a good book by a really great writer.
Yes.
You know?
And here's the thing. It's a good problem that we wanted more.
Yes.
Right? Like, we love Bryn Weaver's writing so much that we were like, where are you, babe?
Yes.
We want more from you.
100%.
Yeah, because, I mean, how many books have you read where you're like, oh, my God, wrap this up?
Yeah, no kidding.
And I did not feel like that with this book.
No, I agree. 100%. Yeah. Well, let's talk about quotes, because we haven't really talked about quotes throughout the episode today the way we normally do.
Right. What was yours, Whit?
I just have one. I will love you enough for the both of us. Fionn says that. And I really, in one of his letters, it might have been the first one, but I love this because it matches one of my favorite quotes from last week where Rose says almost exactly the same thing, like inside her own head. And I just really...
when she tells him she loves him, but he doesn't
and he doesn't
reciprocate.
say it back, and she's like, that's cool, I know how I feel, and like that's enough for me. And I just really like that Bryn Weaver showed their sort of like twin flame vibes, that they are so similar and they feel the exact same way about each other, and they struggle with the exact same things of like communicating that with each other. And I really appreciated that, and that idea of both of them being willing to say I love you with no expectation that the other one would say it back, and to be like, even if you don't say it back, I'm going to be okay, because this is how I feel, and I'm just going to own that whatever happens. And I really liked that.
Right.
I thought that was good. What about you guys?
Mine was from Sloane, and it's when she says, Rowan and Lachlan, she's talking to Fionn, Rowan and Lachlan say you're the best of them. What that means to your brothers might be different than what it means to you. So prove it to the only person who counts.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I liked that one a lot.
I like that.
So I have two, and Sloane is one of them. It's my funnier one. I have to give a shout out to her because she says, I'd say break a leg, but please don't. And can I point out that I adore that Sloane and Lark have a life-size cutout cardboard like stand-up of Rose. I think that is so funny. But the more serious one, and this isn't really a quote, but it's just like a section that I really liked, and it's about the letters again. Rose says, every day we write each other letters. Every evening we read them out loud. We talk through the way we feel. Sometimes we make love. Sometimes we fuck. Sometimes we fight, or we laugh, or we cry. But every day we heal. And that was very poignant for me. Like I said, letters microtrope. Who knew? I love it.
Well, that brings us to questions. We do have 2 epilogues that we're still going to cover, but this is the end. This is the end of the book. So what questions do you guys still have?
I only have one outside of what I've already asked, and it was, who was wearing the inflatable dinosaur costume in the picture with Rose?
Yeah, I thought it was Rowan.
But he's singing.
But he's, so,
and his isn't inflatable. He has a dinosaur onesie.
Oh, that's the onesies. That's what I was thinking.
And so I'm like, who is that?
Who is that? Yeah.
Right. Or are we supposed to
random?
think that Rose was so blitzed that she was like, I'm going to dance with that dinosaur? Which, let's be honest, it sounds like something I would do.
Yeah. Or me.
Mindy, do you have any questions?
I just said, where's the spice? It's not spicing. That's silly.
Don't worry, I'm sure someone's pleated hole will get touched in the next session.
Well, my question is similar, kind of, because it's a question for the author, right? And I just said, why did we skip over so much? You know, again, the contract with Leander. But there were a couple of quotes that I wrote down where I kept writing in all caps in my notes, tell me more, right? Like Fionn at one point talks about Croatia and says that he made unexpected friendships. And I wrote, with who?
Right. Who's your friends, bro?
Yeah, Rose said... He was like, I didn't think you were going to come. And she says, I needed some time to think. And I wrote, about what?
You know what I was thinking? The whole Croatia thing could have been a setup for Leander's, like, AGA.
Yeah,
right?
like a spinoff or something.
Does he get
Yeah.
his own, like, just as batshit crazy person?
Is he married?
I don't know.
He might.
But,
I can't
having said
remember.
that, I think that was like a missed opportunity. Like, we could have had,
100%.
we could have learned more about Leander.
Yeah, that could have been great. But yeah, there were some things like that where I kept writing, like, give me more. Like, you've got these little tiny teasers of information. Like, so what are you looking forward to with the epilogues?
I will say they're always really funny.
That is true.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although this book feels like it's going for a more poignant vibe.
Right.
So I'm curious to see
Yeah.
how the epilogues for this book compare to the other ones, you know?
Yeah. What I am looking forward to is when we're talking about the epilogues, I do feel like Bryn Weaver usually has quite a bit of shock value. So I'm interested to see what the big
Shocker.
shock thing is going
Maybe
to
it's
be.
the shocker. Oh, you see what I did there?
What's the shocker?
The shocker? Two in the pink. I'm one in the stink. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was called the shocker. I was picturing like the prank thing that you put on your hand. It's like,
No. Maybe that's the PG Woodhouse version.
oh dear God, I can't believe that Whitney taught me something.
We need to commemorate this day. It will never happen again.
Whitney taught me about 2 in the pink, 1 in the stick.
When I was in, I want to say high school, maybe college, like guys would go around and just do that because they thought it was funny. Hold on.
Just stick it in there with this.
They would do that with their feet. Like they would do the thing.
Well,
with
do you
their
know
fingers.
why? When we were in college, Dane Cook was a huge thing,
Oh
and
my
that
gosh,
that was
yeah.
one of his symbols for his comedy shows.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Well,
for
that
those of you
makes a
that
lot more
can't,
sense.
for those of you that can't see us, we're only holding down our fourth finger.
Yeah.
yeah,
With the thumb.
Yeah.
yeah. And so 2 in the pink, 1
They
in the
can
stick.
Google it. You can Google it.
yeah.
But
The
anyway.
more you know.
Yeah. Well, what I'm looking forward to is knowing that we have 2 epilogues. I'm hopeful for some answers, maybe, on some of the things that we missed out on, or at least the same vibes that I've been waiting for from like the same vibes as the first 2 books.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, we are finishing our discussion of Scythe and Sparrow. We'll be talking about both of the epilogues, 1 and 2. And don't forget about our Tuesday episodes with nerdy news, author interviews, and our nerdiest topics. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.